Ooh, it talked to me. Did you guys hear that? Hello, everyone. I am so excited to be here. Happy Monday. I'm going to just admit some people in here. I am so excited to be here. My name is Amy Lenius. For those of you who don't know me, I am a silver leader with Young Living. I have been on this journey for 4.5-ish years, and it has been one incredible moment after the other. Today, we're going to really focus on hormones, hormone health, especially women's health. I didn't actually see if there was any men coming, but I think we're going to just really focus on the ladies. Yeah. Sound good? How many of you, show of hands, think you have some sort of hormonal imbalance or deal with something that might be difficult? Yeah. Yes. See the hands. Love it. I mean, I don't love it for you, but I love that we're going to help you today. Thanks, admitting. Okay. So this has been an incredible journey for me. And this is something that I want to share a little bit with you guys on why I'm the one sitting here talking to you about hormones. One, it's one of my favorite topics in the whole world. I love helping women and helping them in the way that I have been helped through this company, through this community, through these products. And I am just so excited to share that with all of you. How many of you are using something right now through Young Living that supports your hormones that you know of? Yes. Thumbs up. How amazing is it? Right? Excellent. Excellent. And maybe if you're still experimenting with all of this, it is definitely a journey. It's something that I hope we can pin down for you today on what you need support in. And I have some wonderful ladies coming and sharing their stories as well on how this journey has helped them, where they were, what they used, and where they are now. I'm so excited to get them to share with us. There we go. Okay, let's get started. Like I said, I've been doing this for 4.5 years. And before all of this, I was dealing with chronic issues, especially from a condition called endometriosis, which is a hormonal issue that women have. It's basically a bunk uterus, and your uterine cells act differently and proliferate outside of your uterus. It's not fun. It's very painful and very hormonally driven. So I started having symptoms around the age of 15, about that time in your life. And it was one of those things where I just kept getting told that, you know what, you're becoming a woman. This is your life now. Welcome to womanhood. Hormones are just a thing. Painful periods are a thing. This is your life now. And it was like, oh, well, that sounds terrible. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to have this magical moment in my life that we all seem to wait for to become women. And then you hear it's filled with all of these crappy side effects and crappy bonuses that we get dealt. And so I started instantly seeking help because I started to notice that mine was different than my friends. Mine was more severe. I was going through things that were way different than anyone else was going through. And when I started to seek help, it took a long time. It took a long time for anyone to take me seriously, to see it as anything different other than just an extreme period, extreme teenage hormones, all the things we get told. And once I got diagnosed, finally, it was through very invasive measures. I had surgeries, I've had medications. It has been quite a journey. I was told at one point I was also infertile and would never be able to have children. So as a lot of you know, I have 2 small boys now. So that obviously worked itself out. And a lot of it came down to being an advocate for my body, learning about my condition and my body, taking responsibility myself, and also being open to looking outside of the box, looking outside of what the doctors were telling me, right? It's so important for anything that you're going through to know that there are so many modalities out there that can help you, right? What I talk about today might not be what helps you specifically because we're all different. What someone else shares might not be what helps you specifically as well. All of our journeys are different, but one thing that any condition you have, hormonally related or not, maybe it's gut, maybe it's emotional, anything, something that I can guarantee will help you is toxin-free living. That was the big thing for me. I had done surgeries, medications, all the things. But when I started looking at my body as a community, as a functioning, thriving community that works together, as soon as I started looking outside of my uterus, to be honest, and considering my environment affecting my body. Your external environment greatly affects your internal environment. Your internal environment is a deep reflection of your external environment. And so those are really big lessons that I learned. And when I came into Young Living, I saw the support that was going to support both of those communities. It was very exciting. When someone started talking, I actually went to Jolene Hayes' talk for toxin-free homes, and I had already started using the oils. They were helping me. I had, taken these little baby steps, but I still wasn't quite on board with how this was going to help me in the severity of my problems. I liked the idea of using oils instead of fragrance in my home. But once she started talking about things like carcinogens and endocrine disruptors, my ears perked up like this. And I was like, what is this? What is she talking about? And why has no one ever told me about it? Is this something that can affect me? Is this something that can affect my hormones and my health? Thanks, Lisa. And it turns out it was. It turns out those things are just as important as anything else you're doing for your internal environment. So these are all things we're going to get into today, but I'm going to have Janine come on and share her story with us first. And I can't wait to hear all about her amazing transformations through Young Living. Hi, Janine.
Hi, Amy. Thank you so much. I'm really honored to be here, honestly, because I heard Amy speak about hormones like way back, and it hugely changed things for me. But my husband and I had been trying to have children for many, many years. This is kind of where our journey started, even before Young Living. And my body just couldn't support a pregnancy. We had 3 miscarriages, and the doctors couldn't really tell us what the issues were. We had all the tests, and they basically just kind of said, keep trying, which is a really hard thing to have somebody tell you when you're just like, okay, I'll just, rip out a little piece of my heart again, time after time after time. But, we didn't give up. And I kind of decided that we were taking a lot of the natural side of things into consideration early on. Like, we were trying to eat organic. We were trying to do things that were better for ourselves. So I had a personal trainer who was a nutritionist, and he actually sent me to a naturopath, and he kind of started my journey with natural living through this naturopath, because she actually was able to diagnose me with a hormone imbalance, which none of my other doctors were able to do, because through my research, I learned that they look through things at a very narrow scope when they're looking at hormones, and especially women's hormones. So to have a naturopath actually kind of dig a little bit deeper and see that we had a hormone imbalance, she kind of told us that the first thing we could do to try to help support our hormones was to get rid of the toxins that were in our homes. And, I had no idea. We tried to buy things that were green and that were like non-toxic. And I cleaned the house with vinegar and baking soda because we had dogs, and I knew that, the chemicals were bad for them, but I never thought about myself and what these things were doing for my body. But we had super sensitive skin. So I was already making things like our laundry detergent and whatnot. So ditching things like shampoos and soaps and body washes was not a hard thing for me to do, because my skin just couldn't handle anything. I was washing my entire body with just water and like exfoliating gloves, because I can't put anything on it. So when I started making products was when Young Living kind of came into my life. Because I was researching, things to support what I was looking for, support my hormones, support, hair growth, or whatever it was that I was looking for. And essential oils were always coming in. So I started to buy a few at a time, and through somebody else. And I was actually signed up on a team, and I just, you know, I didn't get much support there. Like there wasn't a community that openly talked about hormones and stuff. So I had no idea that Young Living had all these amazing products and I didn't have to make them all. So that's a huge win that I love now. But for us, ditching toxins was the first place that we started. And 6 months later, we conceived and we carried our first baby to term. Sorry. It was 4 years ago now. You wouldn't think I'd get so emotional about it, but we had a little girl, and it hugely changes things when you have another person's life to worry about. So from then on, Charisse was on this team, and she kind of was like just giving me all of this information, and this community is just so amazingly supportive and always sharing. So yeah, and then we had a son shortly after that, and our toxin-free journey has just like, it's been such a blessing, and I honestly wouldn't change it for the world.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for sharing. So let's just start the waterworks early on. That was so beautiful. I am so happy for you. And I'm so grateful that you and your family discovered this beautiful community and this incredible system of toxin-free living. I know I feel the community was just as pivotal to my growth in my health as the products. I really do believe that. And I am also so excited that you had found someone to point out to you that it is products, it is your external environment, and that you were able to see that you had this hormonal imbalance, because it's not something we get to commonly see without digging, without having to, you know, look around and ask for help. And for me, it was a naturopath. That was one of my first things right before I discovered Young Living. A naturopath said, okay, well, what kind of foods are you eating? And let's look at your hormones on a range that is wider than maybe the average medical system does. And that was very helpful. And again, talking about how he taught me that, you know, your gut affects your hormones just as much as anything else. You know, everyone wants to talk about your bits, right? But it is about so much more than that. Thank you so much for sharing. It fills my heart so much to hear that. And so that is one of the biggest lessons I learned, is one, you have to be an advocate for yourself. And two is that you need to be aware of your environment on an external level to affect the internal. It's very important. And so our endocrine system, when we're looking at different systems in the body, our endocrine system is the one that regulates all our hormones, but it also regulates your sleep, your growth, your immune system, your blood pressure, your thyroid function. It is a huge one for pain relief, as well as your blood sugar, your adrenal glands, and of course, your hormones and your reproduction, your sex drive, libido, all of those things. So it is about so much more than just talking about balancing a heavy period, right? Your endocrine system and your hormonal system does so much more than I think we give it credit for. And what we're talking about when we say endocrine disruptors and products in your home and being aware of how they affect your hormones, we're talking about synthetics, ingredients like fragrance, talc, there's parabens, SLS, there's a whole list of endocrine disrupting chemicals. We call them EDCs. And what these do in your body is they attack your hormonal system by mimicking a hormone and making your body think it doesn't have to produce it itself anymore. So let's say you put lotion on in the morning, it has one of these EDCs in it. Your skin is your biggest organ. Yes, it is an protective layer, but it's also your most absorptive layer. So when you put something on, you can bet your bottom dollar it is going right into your bloodstream. And when this, we're going to use lotion as an example, when this EDC from your lotion goes into your body, it goes in and it finds a cell that's looking for, let's say, estrogen. This cell loves to bind with estrogen. And this one looks like estrogen. And it comes in and it's like, oh, hey, I fit right there. And normally what this cell would do is say, you know what, I'm going to send up this chemical signal. whoop, I need more estrogen. It comes down and the estrogen comes down and binds with it. And now you've got a happy, balanced cell. Our bodies love to be in a state of our own personal homeostasis, our own personal sense of balance. And so that's why we have all these chemical signals. Our bodies are always trying to upregulate, downregulate, whatever it needs to do to keep us in balance. But when this synthetic comes in and binds, your body now thinks this cell is happy and whole and stops producing estrogen. It doesn't get that chemical signal anymore. So now the estrogen isn't there. And actually, estrogen maybe is a poor example because typically in women right now, we're seeing very low progesterone and higher to low. The estrogen is very up and down for women, depending on lifestyle and a bunch of other things. But typically we see very low progesterone. And so we're not getting those signals to produce progesterone. And that can come down to a lot of different things, environmental for sure, but stress also affects how progesterone is going to work in your body, or if it's even there. Sleep is another one. Your gut health is another one. So constantly remembering that one thing affects the other. Your body is a community. It is about so much more than just your uterus. So if you're seeing someone and talking to them about your health and that's all they want to focus on, it's absolutely important that you remember that gut health, sleep, liver health, and all of those things are going to play a role in how your body is doing, how your endocrine system is thriving and functioning. And so I want to go over what a hormonal imbalance looks like in women. Oh, I have for men. There we go. For women. We're not going to talk about the men. I don't think there's any men on here, is there? No, just trust that this happens to them too, only by about like 50% though. We put on about 50% more EDCs than the average man does. We consume and accumulate, the average woman, like 5 pounds of toxins in a year, just in our bodies, if we're just using whatever is out there. So that's something to think about as well. So for women, we see a lot of PMS and bloating, acne, skin changes, migraines, joint pain, mood swings, anxiety, insomnia. Now, how many of these just sound like normal female problems? How many of this is all just stuff that you're told was a part of your life, right? Oh, that's just being a woman. That's just, no. What if I told you that it doesn't have to be that way? What if I said that just because those symptoms are so common doesn't mean they have to be normal and are not normal for our bodies? These are signs of an imbalance. We should be able to breeze through a period as a minor inconvenience. Same with menopause. Menopause should be a blip in your life, but we are told it is this extreme life change that we have to suffer through because we're women and that's just a part of our life. But these extreme hot flashes, these extreme night sweats, and all of the things we go through, I now know women who have been able to go through that journey like it was nothing. I mean, there's always little things, right? I still get mood swings and stuff, right? A little bit. Chris might argue more about that one, but right, we all have those little moments, but then there are those natural fluctuations in our hormones. There are, but the big ones that we're seeing like this is too much. We don't need to do that. We don't need to, honestly, we're women. We don't have that kind of time in our life. We don't have that kind of time for that kind of negativity in our life, but yet we function through it anyways. But let's not. Let's stop considering that as common and normal, and we're going to move through that. So on the extreme end of hormonal imbalances, we also see things like infertility, PCOS, and endometriosis, like I have. These are more common than anyone would ever like to think. Right now, I think it's 1 in 6. 1 in 6 women has a hormonal imbalance like this. I mean, I don't know anyone who doesn't know another woman who has struggled with infertility, right? Infertility is a big one. Cancer, 1 in 2 Canadians right now, right? It's too much. It's too much. I don't ever want to see people dealing with infertility. The moment I got told I couldn't have kids, and I think I was only 18 at the time, I was not okay. It was the first time I've ever experienced any kind of depression. I could totally deal with my illness, dealing with the fact that I could never have kids. That was the hard line for me. When everyone asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, I always said a mom. I had no career goals at all. I wanted to be a mom. And so that was really devastating for me. So this journey of taking a step back and looking at your body in a different way than maybe we've been told is worth it on so many levels. Now, things we can do to accept this challenge of breaking the norm are being aware of the toxins in your home and taking on the challenge that is breaking away from this norm. We are so worthy. You are so worthy of feeling whole, of feeling healthy, of feeling vibrant, of feeling like you don't have a headache, of feeling like you don't, like when you're tired. How many of you get so tired and you know it's because of your hormones? You know your period's coming, or it's at the end of your period, it's right in the middle, and you're so tired. Again, we don't have time for that, right? We don't have time. Women are busy. We're busy beings. We don't have time for these kind of things. And so it's important to embrace how incredibly worthy you are of not feeling this way. So I'm going to pause there on my little anatomy lecture, and I'm going to let Janessa share her story with us.
Hi.
Hi, Janessa.
Hi. I'm Janessa. I live in Las Vegas with my beautiful family. For those of you who don't know me, I got started about, I think it's 10 or 11 months now, end of July. So it'll be 1 year in July here coming up with Young Living. And at the time, I had just reached out to one of my girlfriends, Chelsea Child, who's on this call, to chat with her about what I was experiencing. I have 2 kiddos, and to know where I was then and where I am now. So after my second kiddo, he was about 10 months at the time, and he was not sleeping through the night. He was getting up every 2 to 4 hours in the night. And we all know if our kids aren't sleeping, we're not sleeping, right? Sorry, I always get emotional. It's a huge change. That's why. So I was experiencing some postpartum symptoms, and I just kept telling myself, I was like, I'm going to get back to where I am. I will get through it. This is normal. But I wasn't, and I didn't want to play with my kids. I was just not myself. I felt like I was like a shell of a mother, and I didn't know what to do. So I reached out to my friend Chelsea, and just to tell her, girlfriend to girlfriend, what was going on. And she didn't even mention, I don't even think in our phone call, I can't remember all the details, but I don't think she even mentioned Young Living in that specific phone call. But I received the best gift of my life. It was some oils to help us sleep. And there was sorry guys. Gotta get myself together. And there was a roller in there to help balance my hormones. And it was life-changing. My son has slept through the night. He's 20 months now. He's slept through the night every single night since, which is huge. So, I mean, for me and my hormones, I mean, I was obviously sleeping, which again, so big for our mental health, right? But I signed up with Young Living right after that. And I started digging deeper into what causes our hormones to come out of whack. And, you know, like Amy said, all the products that we're using and the things that we are putting on our bodies. And so I switched out everything in my house. I don't even know if there's anything left in my house. I have every month, I mean, essential rewards, switched out everything in my house to, you know, reduce any toxin I could. And and then I started getting the supplements like Super B, the Ningxia. I was using progestins. And I mean, it all started with that starter kit. And I just had those oils at the beginning. I was using lavender. I was using frankincense for calming. I mean, it was just every product that I was using in my house was so life-changing. And at the time, I didn't want to go on medication. I was so terrified to talk to anyone because it was just my own personal battle. I was like, I don't want to go on anything, you know, this will pass. And I haven't had to go on anything, even though I'm crying a lot, but I feel back to myself. And I mean, my kids, they are learning that toxin-free life, which I love. They're sleeping. I feel great. I feel so great, which is so huge. And I'm just so thankful for Young Living and everything that it's brought.
That is so beautiful. Thank you so much. I'm so happy for you. And yes, sleep is so important. Sleep is so important on a number of levels. One, for our mental health. Yes, you cannot thrive if you are not sleeping. Your sleep is what repairs your body. It was what balances your hormones. It is so important to get sleep. And when you are sleeping, it produces melatonin. And what melatonin does is it actually combats excess estrogen in our body. And so it's really important as well for our hormones on that level. I loved that. Thank you so much for sharing again. All the tears. That is so beautiful. So things we can do product wise, you named so many perfect products. Oh my goodness. And I honestly, we could be here talking for hours about how many products there are through Young Living that can help support all of the systems you need to help your hormones feel supported and feel more balanced. And the oils are ones that I started with first. So I absolutely started with the essential oil starter kit. I loved what they were doing for my children, for my husband's acid reflux, for the little things we were using them for around our home. But I struggled with the idea that they could help me with something as severe as what I was going through. My daily pain, my chronic, all the things that come with chronic illness. Honestly, my life was a basic black hole of survival mode before I came into this. And so I started trying things like Copaiba to help support the inflammation in my body instead of the anti-inflammatories I was taking before, which I ended up having to stop taking because they were damaging my gut so bad. And again, there's that vicious feedback loop. You're taking something to support your pain and your hormones, hopefully, but it's actually damaging your gut, which in feedback damages your hormones. So I totally believe in medicine. I believe there is a place for modern medicine, for Western medicine. It has, actually saved my life more than a few times in this process of my health. I've almost died a couple times, and it does have its place. But also, as a young girl, I was put on extreme hormone therapies, and no one ever talked to me about what that would look like when I'm in my 30s. And so I had my last scan 4 months ago now and finally cleared. But before that, for 2.5 years, I was getting breast scans every 6 months because I was at such high risk of getting breast cancer from the medications I was on when I was younger. Right. So everything it has its place. It does. But as long as we 100% know the risks and 100% can feel safe and secure in our decisions, which I feel like as a youth, I wasn't. So that's a big part of why I believe in self-advocacy so much and knowing what's going on so that you can make your own informed decisions. Absolutely. And so after the starter kit, I went to that presentation that Jolene did and invested in the thieves line right away. As soon as I realized that there were things in my home that weren't serving my body and I was on this mission to heal my body, I knew that was the next thing to have to be switched over. And honestly, as soon as I heard all of that, I went home and I was like, we need to throw out everything. Everything is killing us. And everyone's like, shh, it's a process. Again, essential rewards, right? Taking it step by step. As much as I would have loved to have come home and thrown everything away, that's not practical, but we did start ditching and switching. The second my shampoo ran out, I absolutely bought Young Living shampoo and conditioner, right? The second, I'm going to be super honest, I threw out some cleaners. I did. I couldn't even do it. I did. I got the thieves and I was like, okay. But other than that, we ditched and switched and it was a beautiful process. And then I was like, okay, I'm now hearing about these hormone oils. And the ones that I invested in first were Progessence, Clary Sage, and Endoflex. Those are beautiful oils. Progessence supports your progesterone levels. Clary Sage is one that is excellent for balancing out your estrogen. And Endoflex helps actually to flex and extend your entire endocrine system. It is very supportive for that entire system and your thyroid as well. And I was blown away. again, you know what? I actually still get blown away by Young Living. Does anyone else, you've been in this for a while and you still get blown away when something works so well? Blows your mind, right? Right, Lisa, right? Diamond Lisa over there is still blown away, right? It's magic, science, and earth all in a bottle. And it supports your body. And what I love about it is it doesn't add a synthetic. When we're typically seeking help for hormones, we're put on a synthetic, which I understand why they do that. But when we can not be put on a synthetic and not be scanned for breast cancer every 6 months for 2.5 years, it's kind of a win. And so when I was able to support my body in that way and come off of the things that I was using that were at risk for my health and also not exactly helping, I was still having pain every day. It was like I had a party. It was amazing. And so these 3 oils are a very simple, easy switch to just helping to support those main areas in your body. Another one is a really simple blend of rosemary, grapefruit, and peppermint. Those 3 oils together rubbed on your liver help support your body to detox from estrogen. This is why our liver health is so important. It detoxes all of the excess stuff of your hormones once they've been used in your body. So your hormones, they do their thing in your body, and then it has all this excess that needs to process through your liver and then be released through your gut. So it's also very important for your hormone health that you're taking care of your gut and that your gut is moving. That's very important. We want that stuff to be moving on out. We don't want it sitting in our gut for too long, because what happens is the byproducts of your hormones, if they sit in there for too long, they seep back in through the lining of your gut and are now just floating around in your body. And when we have the byproduct of estrogen just floating around in our body, it's not great. Women, we can get very sick very fast with that. So we want to make sure that we're looking at our body in a holistic way when it comes to our hormones, liver, gut, sleep. It's all very, very important. Now, something that as my journey has gone on that surprised me and still surprises me now is how much they support my mood and my energy. This is something that I've been diving into even more so lately, is using oils to, it's going to sound weird, make me feel more feminine. In that way, I'm going to let Charisse explain this a little bit better, but what it has done for me in, let's just say on a confidence level, when we have hormone imbalances, as most of you know, we don't feel ourselves. We're not feeling our best. We're not exuding our best self outwardly because we feel so off inwardly. And once everything feels good on the inside, everything automatically starts feeling better, looking better, expressing better on the outside. And this is something that I'm sure a lot of you have noticed. Have you ever noticed that people who start to join Young Living seem to reverse age? What is that? Right? Oh, I fixed it. Right? I truly believe that everything comes down to how we're feeling on the inside. And it's deeper than just, oh, I mentally feel good. It's how you're functioning on the inside. If your body is functioning the way it is meant to function, outwardly things change. They really do. And so I'm going to let Charisse talk a little magic on that.
Hi, thank you.
Friend.
Yeah, so my journey, like with hormones and stuff, hasn't been like a huge like game changer. Like I didn't know I struggled with hormonal issues along the way. I went on birth control at 18, like most girls do when they're young. I was on birth control until I was 29 and I had my first kid. When I had my first son, I struggled with postpartum depression, put on a lot of weight, craved all the carbs, really struggled with sleep and mood. So I went on antidepressants. I committed to getting off of them as quick as possible and healing as naturally as I could. So I dove into like fitness, and put myself in the best shape of my life. Then I had my second kid. And in between there, I noticed when I tried to go back on birth control, the difference that it made in like my clarity and my moods and everything, like I had all the brain fog and I did not feel like myself when I tried to go back on it. So it really showed me the difference of when our bodies were trying to balance ourselves naturally in like homeostasis with our hormones, or when we're pumping it full of a synthetic hormone. And when I had my second son, afterwards, my periods went haywire, and I had never had a problem with periods before. They were always like clockwork for me. They lasted like 4 days. I could tell you exactly when I was getting them. I didn't have a huge problem with like PMSs or anything like that. And all of a sudden after, I took about 3 months for my period to come back after my second son. And it was like, I was having periods for 14 days, and 7 to 10 of those days were like heavy, heavy days. And the doctor just kind of was like, well, maybe you should go back on birth control. And I was like, I don't want an oral birth control. And so they gave me an IUD, which again is still synthetic hormone. And when I ended up going to a naturopath, the naturopath was the first person that introduced me to, I most likely had a progesterone imbalance, meaning that my progesterone was probably so low that my body wasn't functioning. And she asked me about my sex drive. She asked me about my moods, my energy levels, my sleep, my digestion, everything. And everything was in this. And so she was the first person to ever make me aware of progesterone and its role in the body. Now knowing as well is that when we're stuck in this fight or flight mode, this stress mode, which most of us are, if you've dealt with any trauma, or if you're just like tired or overwhelmed or stressed, our body actually takes progesterone and converts it to cortisol, right? And so our body needs more stress hormones because we need to function in this like survival mode, right? And it doesn't need to be that way, guys. Like, we're meant to feel good. Women have an organ that's specifically designed for pleasure for that reason. Like, we are meant to feel good. There's 8,000 nerve endings in there. We are meant to live in pleasure and joy and play. We're not meant to live in the survival mode. We're not meant to struggle and to get by and to be tired and overwhelmed and exhausted and depleted all the time. So the more that I start to like lean into allowing myself these ways to find pleasure, the ways to find play and bring them back into my days, the more that I naturally am kind of going into this feminine state. And the more that like I feel good, the more that like my libido comes back, that my moods come back, my energy level, like everything comes back that way, right? We have this ability to balance naturally. Like Amy was saying, when we have a synthetic hormone that's popped into our body goes, oh, hey, we don't need this anymore. And that's great. But eventually it stops making it on its own because we have an abundance of it in the body. And so if we either try and come off of those medications, or our body kind of adjusts, we have to continue to up those like synthetics, and actually create a dependency on it, or we get a hardcore crash, which is like pregnancy there. I had a hardcore crash and I ended up going into this postpartum depression because of it. And nobody ever talked to me about my hormones. So I'm a firm believer in like Young Living and with all the products and stuff, but also the products that you use like in your bedroom and stuff. Like, we use so many things, and our skin is super porous, and our skin all over the place is super porous and absorbs everything. So not only are we like cautious about what we're putting on the skin, but what we're using in the bedroom and stuff as well, right? So being able to actually use oils in the bedroom, and believe me, once you've tried oils in the bedroom, do not go back. Cypress, Sensation, like anything. And I've used actually Sensation lately to actually make me feel more feminine. I actually use a combination of Sensation, Cypress, and Orange often, just to help me feel more pleasurable during the day, right? I put it on my skin and I allow myself to take in that scent and just really feel that pleasure. And the more that I do that, I naturally come out of this survival mode, this like do, go, grind, like mode, and just go into the state that like everything. You are meant to feel good. You are meant to be abundant. You're meant to have pleasure. So, I mean, if you haven't read this book yet, I highly suggest it. There's a lot of info on like the hormones and stuff in there, like progestins, clary sage, endoflex. Those are 3 ones that I use daily. And when I start to feel low, because now I can feel it, I start to feel low in progesterone, which I'm tired. I'm very moody. I have no sex drive. I up my progesterone. So my progestins, I put it on my face in the morning and I'll put it on my body at night. So just making sure that we're balancing that way, right? It's all about a hormone balance, and our hormones are always fluctuating. So paying attention to your body and knowing that you're meant to feel good. You're so worthy of feeling good and feeling beautiful and feeling exuberant. Lean into that, enjoy it, right? And seriously, Lucy Libido, check her out. So that's all I have, I think.
Right. How good is that book? And we're jumping around on a lot of different things today. We want to give you guys as much value as possible. I mean, time is truly our only limited commodity. So we want to hit you with as many things as we can. And then if something specific interests you, we have other videos and other calls that have been recorded on these more specific avenues. We do have one for the Lucy Libido class. We have one, more into learning about the specific hormones and what they're doing. And we have all sorts of that. So after this, if you need any of that information, like absolutely, please send that message and ask me, and I'll make sure you guys get it. Sharice, you're amazing. Thank you. That was so good. But again, that's what this call, we really wanted it to be about, is that you are worthy of feeling good. And there are so many things within this company that can help you do that, right? The products, the community, the mental and physical stability that you get are really, I mean, it's honestly just the best. I don't even know how else to describe it. It is just the best. I know a lot of you know what I'm talking about when I say the community. We have a Facebook group that is very interactive. There is always someone willing to answer your questions. And I just think that's so beautiful. Now, I love that you touched on stress, Cherise. I don't know a woman alive who does not have some sort of stress in their day. And I know how all-consuming that can be, but we do need to remember that stress is not good for us in any way, shape, or form. Tonight, we're focusing on hormones. And so like Cherise said, when you are in a state of stress, your body treats it like you're going to die. Our bodies don't know the difference, whether we're being chased by a bear in the woods or whether we've just been cut off in traffic for the 3rd time that day. It's this instant fight or flight mode regardless. So if you're just getting these daily little stresses pile up in your life, your kids are asking you for a snack for the millionth time, your spouse is giving you that like friggin' look again, all of those things, grocery stores, the things that we deal with, they pile up and your body is literally treating it like you're being chased by a bear in the woods and you're going to die. It is shutting down things that it does not seem important for your life in that moment. And one of those big things is your hormones. You don't need these certain hormones to be produced right now because it's not going to save your life. It's focusing on very few things. Your digestion gets slower because you don't need to digest when you're running for your life from a bear. It's not an ideal state to be living in. Right. And like Cherie said, your cortisol, your stress hormones have to be at peak level all the time to keep you in this state. So the longer we're in this state, the more cortisol you need, and it's going to take from other places in your body. And a big one that it does is, yes, your progesterone. It's another reason why women have such low progesterone right now, is because we constantly live in this stress state. So I highly urge you to find something that brings you peace, that brings you calmness, that brings you a sense of joy over stress, of peace and calmness over stress. And for a lot of us, that's a bath. How many of you love using oils in the bath or just soaking your feet in hot water with your oils, right? It's a beautiful thing to do for yourself. So not only are you relaxing, right? Lock the door, don't let the littles in, give them to someone else. And You're not only relaxing, but you're also enhancing your body's health with these essential oils. There are tons that we can use to decrease our stress. Frankincense is absolutely one that I love. Lavender is another one. Copaiba is also really good for bringing our mood down to a more stable state. Frankincense is my favorite one for that. Honestly, when someone asks me, well, what does frankincense do? I'm like, you know what? You know, when you feel like this, right? Like this, you're just so wound up and you can't handle one more thing. You need frankincense in your life. That's the one. Lavender's very calming. You know, the tree oils are very grounding, but when you're at like max level, you need frankincense in your life. That's the one. Right? Maybe you need more grounding. The trio is for sure. Northern Lights Black Spruce is a favorite of mine because I find it really quiets your mind, right? How much of us as women can't sleep or can't focus on one specific thing during the day because we're also going like this, right? That was me. I could never sleep because my mind never stopped. So Northern Lights Black Spruce was a big transition for me in helping me with my health because I would put it on before I would go to sleep, and actually putting it on the base of your big toe really works. It helps. It sounds crazy. I thought they were crazy, rolled my eyes real hard, but then I tried it and it totally checks out. It's amazing. So any kind of tree oil, anyone you love that's your favorite, that's going to help you sleep, put it on the base of your big toe. See what happens. It's amazing. There's all of these little things we can do to decrease our stress. Decreasing our body burden is a big one. So that body burden, that toxic exhaustion, that buildup, you know, that 5 pound a year buildup of toxins that women have, that plays on your body's stress, on your physical stress. When your body can't detox from the things it needs to because it's so busy trying to get rid of all these toxins, when your body can't fight a cold off like it's supposed to. I mean, colds are supposed to last people 1 or 2 days. The average now is like 2 to 3 weeks. It's because your liver and your immune system can't keep up because they're so busy trying to get these toxins out of your life. This is why I say toxin-free living is so much more than just about balancing your hormones. It affects your whole body, anything you're going through. Maybe things like endometriosis, PCOS aren't resonating with you right now, but maybe you're going through something else. Maybe you're going through gut stress, mental stress, anything like that. Any other condition you can think of. Toxin-free living will help that in some way. Not using cleaners that have chemicals that are ridden with carcinogens and fragrance. Fragrance is honestly just a fancy heading, a fancy title for a buttload of things that they don't have to tell you about. They're trade secrets. So if you watch documentaries like Stink, that's a really good place to start on learning about fragrance and synthetics and what they're doing in your body. There are so many endless resources out there for you all to dive into this space. And again, it just comes down to understanding that these common problems for women don't have to be normal. A lot of the things that play on our mental health and our stress is hormones. You know, I love talking about the women's hormones, but what about like the ones that make you feel good? What about serotonin? What about dopamine? Oxytocin? Those are all hormones that are very important in your life, but they also rely on gut health. A few of those are one of them is only produced in your gut. Like 90% of it's produced in your gut. Which one? Dopamine? Serotonin? Charisse, dopamine? In the gut? I think it's dopamine. Anyways, 90% of your dopamine is produced in your gut and like 10 to 30% of your serotonin. And those are ones that are what make you happy, right? So it's coming back to the community aspect. Your gut affects your brain affects your gut, both affect your hormones. So as lovely as it is to focus on one little area of your body and talking about your periods and all of those things, which I think we all need to talk about. I think we all need to talk about these things. This conversation needs to be more normalized because I don't know a woman alive who doesn't need to have this conversation and to hear that her problems are valid and aren't something she needs to deal with. Right? I appreciate you all so much. I loved hearing your guys' stories. I appreciate you sharing them. We have like 6 minutes left. Does anyone have a story they would like to share or a question they would like to ask? I would love to hear it. I see a baby. Lonnie, do you have your hand up? Is that what that little hand means? You can unmute yourself if you'd like. Anybody? I don't know what the hand means. Hi, Emerson. Okay. If no one has anything they want to talk about, that's okay. Yes? No. Anybody? All right. Either way, I love and appreciate you all. And basically, you are so deserving of all of these happy hormones. Now, oxytocin is one that we produce when we are connected to a community, when we get to talk and share and connect in our stories. And I love, you know what, that's what these Zoom calls do for all of us. A Zoom call can actually help you with your hormones. So the more things that you can do to connect with people in this way, I know the world is weird right now to connect into a physical space sometimes, but things like this give you just as good as a boost. I know it's not the same as getting a hug. That boosts your oxytocin like you wouldn't believe, but these are like virtual hugs for your hormones. So coming on here, connecting, hearing about things that make you happy, getting your brain going, it's all positive for your hormones. So like I said earlier, if you guys have any questions later, I'd love to hear them. If you want those more specific presentations sent to you, we have those as well. I love that you were here to learn about your bodies. Thank you so much. Thank you to all my ladies who shared tonight. Your story and your passions are so beautiful. Holding back tears the whole time. I appreciate and love all of you. Thank you, Lisa, for having me. I love you all. Take care. Thank you so much.
Thank you.